Hey, it's MK, and I am back with October 21st. Here is the sketch. For today, it is Christy's sketch challenge still going on. And today, it is kind of like a grid pattern. If you guys can see that. Let me back up. Oh, sorry. Alright, it's kind of like a grid pattern. A little bit of splatters going on, things like that. So what I did was I pulled out a bunch of little scraps from a card kit that I had purchased, and I thought that I would take a break. I thought I'd take a break from the space stuff. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm scatterbrained because I don't know what I'm doing. But I pulled out a bunch of stuff and thought that I would do the aquarium for a little bit. Take a break from space. We will go back to it. I have a few layouts left and then I'll be done. Woo! This has been so helpful, letting me get caught up on my older albums. In fact, by the time I'm done with this, 2006 is going to be like, you know, in the books. Literally. And so I have our tickets to the aquarium. I do want it to display like both sides because, again, it is no longer at this location. So I think that that would be cool if I had the address and whatnot. It's weird that, oh, one was a child. Okay, so I do have that. And then basically what I wanted to do today was I've got one photo going up and down and then two square photos. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do. I also have my pressed pennies because I'm addicted. What I also wanted to do was show you guys how to take a photo, and I know you guys probably already know, but basically I'm going to take this photo and split it up and make it two separate photos, even though it's the same one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to, you know, get everything to work and do all my squares. Looks like everything is 2 by 2 on the sketch. But we'll see what we have because, I don't know. But these papers by Graphic 45 are amazing. Alright, let's get started and see what I can do before I go on a babbling tangent. Alright, let's go. To save a little bit of time, I went through and I measured how wide my papers already were, and then I decided that's what the square that I was going to cut them at, which I think it ended up being 2 3/4, I believe. So my squares are quite large, but I'm glad because the images on the papers are also quite large. One of the things that I noticed about Graphic 45 papers is even though they have it on a smaller scale paper pads, it isn't smaller scaled images like the normal 6x6 paper pads are. So that is a little bit of difference in case you guys are curious. So I cut out as many squares as was on the sketch. And because I'm not cutting my pictures down to that size, I mean, there's no way. I would have lost a lot of what was actually in the photo if I would have cut it down that far. So I decided, no, I want to cut my squares or my photos the way that I want my photos cut, you know, however I want them. So I do have one that is, I believe, just shy of 4 by 6. I just trimmed around it so you didn't see past the poster Cora was reading. And then I also cut another one exactly at 4 by 4, but a little bit smaller so I can mat it to a 4 by 4. And then this one, I was going to cut one of them down to a 2 by 2. And I thought, no, because there's a lot of fish swimming around in there. Now, these are actually just local fish. They're not like saltwater marine life at all. They are just basic freshwater fish, but you know, without those, I mean, I don't know, they're just as important as the marine life, even though they're not as fancy or as pretty, right? So this is where I decide that I really want more pattern. I really want to take up the white space. I want to fill up my paper. And so I cut out a few more squares to create a bigger grid, basically. So again, I went rogue, and I really wanted to use that strip of shells on, you know, as a whole piece and not cut into the other piece. But
you could tell that they were going like sideways. I didn't like it. The direction of them was not going. I even tried to talk myself out of it and it didn't work. So finally get my squares, kind of sort of play the rearranging game here over and over again, because I have 2 squares that are the same, and actually no, I have 3 that are the same, and I don't want them next to each other. So that's pretty simple. I just, like I said, I really struggled with that shell paper. I really didn't want to cut this one down. Why not? I don't know. But the shells were going sideways and I did not want them to go sideways. So now I'm just seeing how I want my pictures to go. I went and I cut the photo mats. You guys, I took it out. This video was getting long. I didn't think you needed to see that. I measure, I cut, I measure, I cut. It's the same stuff, you guys. Yeah, even I'm bored watching it, but I do it because I can't not do it. So here I am just backing up my photos, gluing them down onto the cardstock that I picked. Originally, I picked a blue piece of cardstock, and then I thought, wow, there's a lot of blue already going on this layout. So I chose to do a brown cardstock to support the other supporting color, I guess. And then, of course, yes, my OCD hit on these little bits as well, because there's a dark blue border that borders these 2 little pictures, or I don't know what they're called, cards. And I was trying to trim it off, but the light blue is rounded. Oh, you guys, the struggles. I mean, seriously, my OCD just won't let it go. So I kind of switch it up. I decide that I want my photos and all of my elements on top of the grid, since my photos aren't going to be a part of the grid. So now the look that I am going for is kind of like one of those you see in a postcard, or you see in one of those seek and find books where everything's scattered around and then you go and find me, a horse with 3 legs. You know what I mean? I know. Don't ask. The things that go through this brain, you guys, would just be amazing. It even functions at all. So I decided I don't like the gaps. I don't like seeing the cardstock between the grid. So I pulled out this Bluebell ribbon by Close to My Heart. It's fairly new, in case you guys are curious. And I'm going to put this behind the paper cardstock to fill in all of the gaps. And trust me, it was very painful for me to rewatch all of this measuring and trimming and all of this stuff. So I cut it out as well. I mean, like I said, look at that. I have to measure the ribbon to see where the center of the ribbon is. You guys, I need to let it go. I need to just let it go. But I can't. And look, now I'm measuring again to place the ribbon down. Oh, it's an addiction, you guys. Once I pull out the ruler, it stays out. Yeah. And so I lay down the first piece. I kind of show you guys what my idea is. And then I just go ahead and end up finishing it all off camera, because seriously, it was very painful. Very painful to watch. Now, I kind of sort of cheated when I went and did the horizontal strips. What I did was I, meticulously spaced out all of my pieces, and then I just took my pencil and I drew a line to know where the center of each one of them is. So that way I knew roughly where to put my piece, and it was okay if it wasn't in the center, because it was going to be covered up one way or the other, and only that gap was going to be seen. So, and then of course I had to measure how much do I want it sticking outside of the grid. I mean, the struggles are real. And here are the end results. Oh my gosh, you guys. All that for just that. But it's pretty. I kind of like how it looks like there's movement behind my pieces of paper. That's what I was kind of sort of going for. And so now I'm going to put everything back on. I did cut out other elements from the pieces of paper just to see if I could add them to my layout. I don't add very much, because the memorabilia that I kept, the photos that I have, and these little cards that I already had pretty much took up a lot of space. And if I add anything else to it, then I might as well have not added the pattern paper. So, and I want to space those tickets kind of sort of precise, because there's certain information that I want on it, like their phone number, I think, is Go Fish. That's hilarious. I think that's hilarious. And I want that to be seen. I don't notice it until quite a ways down the road, after I'm done kind of trying to fill in the gaps or find spaces that I want to draw your eye to. But hey, I noticed it and I saved it and I giggled just a little bit. So now I've got all my pieces like touching each other, and I feel like that is a little bit more of a cohesive design. I did want to do like little shells or little fish swimming next to that center penny, but it's just too much. It just really is too much. So now I get to glue everything down. Yay! That's the best part right there, is finalizing, making that final decision and sticking with it. I'm taking all of my little pieces and just making sure that they are going straight. Isn't it weird that I eyeball this stuff, but I have to pull out a ruler for certain things? What is up with that? I don't know. I'll have to have a talk with myself later. So, yep, again, just gluing everything down, making sure that, look, I even covered that whole piece up. Oh, why did I even do that? Because I don't know where things are going to go when I make a background. That is the honest truth. I don't know where things are going to go. So this is when I figure out that I want to save that phone number too, because that was just the cutest little phone number ever. I'm going to put my penny on. And then I have a little stamp that is from the paper pad. And this is where I decide that I want some sequins. So I go and get my sequins bin. And Ink Road has these awesome little, like, I don't know, they're almost like frozen water bubbles. They're my favorite. I love them. I'm going to be sad when I actually run out of them. And then, of course, I had some matching Bluebell sequins. So I just dumped them out. You guys will get I left all of this in because this is hilarious. Instantly hilarious. So I was having a problem with my little picker. It just almost seemed like it was dried out. I even pulled out the dried spot to bring in fresh little stickiness. And yeah, once I started picking up the bubble with my fingers, see, it just wasn't working. My little picker upper thingy wasn't working for me. So I'm just going to use my hands. But I'm going to hold my picker upper in my hand because, you know, I might need it. I have no idea. I just giggled at myself. When I saw this, I was like, really? I put all those sequins down by hand. Oh, look, there it is, because it wasn't cooperating with me. Yeah. And then I go back to using my hand again. Are you serious? It's quite funny, actually. I'm still laughing at myself. There was a tiny little bubble that I wanted to get and I couldn't get it. I didn't want to dump anything out, so I reached in with my picker upper and picked her up. And then, of course, I am going to make sure that that is all the sequins I want to add throughout my little cluster that I have. Yep, there I am. Do I need any more? Do I want any over here? Nope. I like it just the way it is. To put everything away before I make a big mess. Got a little bit of glue on my picture. Let's rub it off. And here we go. All done. I absolutely love how this layout turned out. I love this graphic 45 paper. I wish I would have gotten a set, but I did get to play with a bunch of it, in a card kit and then right here. So I am happy with it. Loads and loads and loads of close-ups just because I wanted you guys to actually see all of the little bits and pieces that made up this layout because it is kind of busy. Again, it is an amazing challenge. I am loving this challenge and I will see you guys tomorrow.